Chelsea 2, Newcastle 1. The Blues do finally manage to get back to winning and scoring ways at Stamford Bridge, getting the 3 points with 2 great goals by Pedro and Willian. Not a great performance in the slightest, a dreadful first half in all honesty, but a huge 3 points going into the first week without a midweek game in months before facing Arsenal next week. To find out everything about the game, our goals, the assists and how it all happened, make sure you watch all of this review. Hello there guys and welcome back to 100% Chelsea for my review of the Chelsea 2 Newcastle 1 game in the Premier League. And yes, I'm back. I do apologise about missing the preview yesterday. Luiz did a great job at covering for me obviously, so thank you to him for that. And of course, this is the review. There will be fan cams, still be a vlog, all sorts of content, you know, as there is about every single game. So if you don't want to miss out on any of that, be sure to subscribe to 100% Chelsea. And also, let's see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. I would massively appreciate that. So please do make sure to smash that like button down below. But now getting straight into the review and starting off with the lineup, which to be honest was pretty much as I expected it, even though you didn't know what I expected because I didn't make a preview. But it was obviously the 4-3-3 formation. Kepa Arrizabalaga in goal. Then a back four of Azpilicueta and Marcos Alonso as the two fullbacks. Antonio Rudiger and David Luiz was back, you know, after not playing against Spurs as, you know, the two centre-backs. A midfield three of Jorginho, N'Golo Conte and Mateo Kovacic, who finally came back into the starting 11. And then a front three, yet again, without an actual striker, with Willian starting on the left, Pedro on the right, and Eden Hazard starting down the middle. And like I said, it was pretty much as I expected. And in my opinion, it was actually sensible not to start Hudson-Odoi today, but to have him on the bench. Obviously, he came on throughout the game, even though a bit later than I would have hoped. You know, he started the last two games and only returned from a hamstring injury just before those two games, so I think it is actually sensible not to start him today. I think it was good. But, you know, Alvaro Morata was yet again not involved at all. Whether that suggests anything about him leaving or not, who knows. But getting into the game, the start of the game was exactly what you'd expect in our game against Newcastle, to be honest. They just sat incredibly deep, trying to close down every bit of space in their half. And, you know, we didn't find it easy to start with, but, you know, we didn't find it easy to pass our way through it. But then instead, you know, have one, you know, incredible long-range pass master. Even now with Fabregas has joined Monaco, we still have one like that. Because, you know, unlike in so many other games recently, we broke the deadlock really early on. In the 9th minute already, Pedro popped up to make it 1-0. And I'm right now going to do my very, very best to somehow elaborate the assist by David Luiz there, because it was quite frankly ridiculous. So basically, the guy received the ball around the halfway line and then hits a 50-yard, 45-50-yard, no-look pass right onto the foot of Pedro inside the box, who made a great run into the box from the right wing, by the way. Pedro controlled it really nicely, then used his body to shield the ball from the defender that was putting him under pressure, before then going for a ridiculously cheeky lob or chip, whatever you want to call it, over the still stood up, you know, keeper right into the net, right over the keeper. A great finish, an unbelievable assist. Like, what is that pass? Like, bro, you're mad. Sorry, David, but that pass was just ridiculous. And also a great finish by Pedro, a great goal overall, and just the perfect start to the game. But even though we did get that early goal, I didn't like the way we played at all. For the majority of the game, especially in the first half though. I know Newcastle, of course, made it difficult, but still, there was no passing to get ourselves into the final third, let alone their box. Like, whenever we did get somewhat dangerous in the first half, it was with over the top or through balls to the wingers, or sometimes Kante, well, the front three, or sometimes Kante. You know, just trying to make, you know, have them run in behind or run between the lines and then do something from there. But, you know, those kind of passes are tricky, and they're tricky to control as well. So the likelihood of those actually working the way it worked for, obviously, Pedro's goal isn't that high. So it's just a risky kind of playing, you know. It's just not gonna be that fruitful, let's say. And because our movement was basically non-existent, the passing wasn't great, and because we didn't manage to string passing together, like quick passing, the way we actually want to play, the way Sarri actually wants his team to play, you know, we had to revert to these kind of long balls a lot, even though we tried some good switch, you know, cross-switch balls, which I was quite happy with, but then just didn't do much, you know, enough with it. And because of that, we just actually helped, you know, Newcastle get into the game more and more and more, you know, just to go at attacking themselves actually, which they don't usually do that much. Chelsea were still the team to come up with the next chance of the game, but already into the 25th minute from a free kick, wide of the box, just by the byline. Willian did put it into the box. Luiz actually got on the end of it. Actually got a good header on it, but annoyingly hit it against Kovacic, you know, just ahead of him in the box from where it went just over the bar, not even far over the bar, to be honest. So that would have been a good header, possibly would have gone in. And then with 10 minutes to go in the first half, Newcastle actually had a very good chance to equalise. A simple misplaced pass to Willian. Newcastle went back to the keeper, you know, then a simple long ball to Rondon, who won the header against Luiz. Fair play, you know, for Luiz to lose a header against Rondon. That happens. Two Newcastle players made the run beyond, Rudiger and Alonso were absolutely nowhere, so Azpilicueta had to run across to our left defensive side to put Ayoze Perez at least under some sort of pressure, and thankfully with that pressure he did put his effort wide of goal. And as we just kept playing awfully badly, to be honest, Newcastle got the equaliser 5 minutes before the break from a corner, as Kieran Clark won the header inside the box, but running backwards, actually, that is a very good header, fair play to him, and placed it perfectly into the side netting. No saving that for Kepa at all. Somehow both David Luiz and Rudiger inside the box were absolute miles off the players in their zone. Obviously, we do zonal marking, not man-to-man marking. But they were both off like their men so far, like off the guys in their zone so far. Rudiger off Rondon and Luiz off Clark, who obviously ended up scoring. And it was also strange that Pedro was actually stood right by that post where the ball ended up flying in. When the corner was played into the box, Pedro was stood right there. But as the ball came closer to the box, he just moved up the pitch slightly, moved to the edge of the 6-yard box, if you will. And if he had just stayed by the near post or by the post, he would have easily cleared that. Not quite sure why he moved away from there, to be honest. I don't really get it. But, that was then obviously the equaliser and fully deserved at the time. But then actually, basically from kickoff, still in the first half, a long ball found Willian, similar to our goal actually. He was 1-on-1 with the keeper, to be fair, from a bit of an angle, but then he just properly bottled it and put his effort miles wide off the near post. Basically just passed it out for a goal kick. And that was then half-time of 1-0. And except our goal, the first half was horrendous. It was horrendous. It was awful. No movement by absolutely anyone. And just generally, that ridiculous lack of movement meant our passing was dreadful and gave Newcastle more and more confidence as the half went on to eventually, like I said, get that fully, deserved equaliser. Rondon definitely being Newcastle's main man throughout the majority of the game, but especially in the first half, with both of our centre-backs struggling to deal with him, especially Rudiger. He really struggled with Rondon today, I felt, although he was on Rondon more than Luiz was, I guess. And improvements were definitely needed for the second half. And I say that, things did actually start a lot better into the second half, because just a minute in, we played ourselves forward nicely, much better than we did at any point in the first half. Kante then with the final ball to Pedro on the right, and the Spaniard did go for goal, but couldn't quite direct it towards the corner of the goal enough, and left the keeper with a chance to make a great save to keep it out. It still wasn't a poor effort, and it was still a great save, but obviously he could have hit it further into the corner, then there's no chance for the keeper to save it, but still a great save, and obviously slightly annoying to not take the lead straight after the break. But while we still weren't playing particularly well, we did finally manage to put some pressure on Newcastle with a few good moments of playing, a few good, individual moments as well. Then Pedro actually with a very good chance after great work by Willian, Hazard, and also finally Alonso, down the left-hand side. Alonso then with the cross into the box, the low cross into the box, which did find Pedro, but the Spaniard's finish just wasn't great. He got barely any power. Basically, he just scuffed his shot and, put the shot, or if you want to call it a shot, kind of just rolled the ball into the keeper's hands in all honesty. But thankfully, only moments after the Pedro chance did we get our goal, as the so heavily criticised Willian made it 2-1 in the 57th minute. And it all started with a mazy bit of dribbling by Eden Hazard down the middle, that basically dragged what seemed like every single Newcastle player, onto him. He dragged all of them onto him, and he still went past all of them, basically. Then he played the ball wide to Willian on the left, who got into the box, went past his defender with a little body feint, and then he just went for goal from a pretty tricky angle as well. And boy, did he find that goal. Great finish into the far corner, into the top far corner, as the ball hit the side netting right by the post. Might even have, touched obviously that far post when it was going in. Exceptional strike, very good goal, very good finish. Happy for him to score. Obviously, he's heavily criticised. I've criticised him myself, but, at least I'm not insulting him so that he has to, disable the comments on his social media. But still, happy for him that he scored, and also he scored the winner today, so I'm generally just happy, and also great work by Hazard, obviously, in the build-up to the goal. Before Barkley replaced Kovacic shortly after, and then Willian actually had a great chance to, basically put the game to bed and make it 3-1 after another incredible long-range no-look pass by David Luiz. Not sure why he plays them no-look, but, as long as he, actually completes those passes, I don't care at all. And Willian, just like Pedro in the first half, went for the chip after controlling it, although he didn't control it just as well as Pedro did. But then he just about didn't get enough height on his chip, and the keeper did manage to basically reach his effort with his fingertips and basically put it wide of the goal, and obviously to keep it out, which was obviously slightly disappointing. But to be honest, that was then really it for chances for, to be honest, either side for the rest of the game. Like after that, basically nothing happened. We went back to having a lack of movement, slow passing, huge gaps between our players, obviously just way too big to string any sort of passing movements together. And basically just not doing anything. Well, Newcastle, I guess, kind of tried, but we're obviously also a little bit worried about us making it 3-1 kind of thing. So to be honest, not much happened. We just made 2 more substitutions. Hudson-Odoi came on for Pedro with 10 minutes to go, slotting in on the left while William moved over to the right initially, although they did swap wings after a few minutes. And then in the 86th minute, or was it the 87th minute, Olivier Giroud came on to replace a really tired-looking Eden Hazard. And that was then full-time at 2-1, and we did manage to get the 3 points, but it definitely wasn't a great performance. The first half, except our goal, obviously, by Pedro, was a shambles, to be honest. Then we did have a good first 20 minutes of the second half, but went straight back to doing basically fuck all and not playing well at all for the remainder of the game. But a win is a win, and with Arsenal losing to West Ham earlier today and Spurs and United facing each other tomorrow, it is a really good win as well, obviously in our chase to secure obviously top 4 as early as possible into the season, but just, getting top 4 by the end of the season is obviously the most important thing at this stage. But of course, we also deserve to win the game. We had more chances than Newcastle, we had the better chances as well. And, we had a few good performances on the pitch. Pedro I thought was good. Willian was decent to some extent, not just his, obviously his goal. Luiz I thought had a really good game, but, should have done better for the goal, I thought. And, other than that, though, Kante was alright. Jorginho was a little bit iffy, even though I still think a lot of him struggling is down to his teammates not moving enough. Hazard I didn't think was great today. Was great for the build-up to Willian's goal. But he didn't get on the ball enough. He didn't complete many passes, to be honest, like not as many as he usually does. And you can say, that's because he plays down the middle. In my opinion, that is the case to me. Was just because he didn't move enough. He didn't show enough movement, and also the players around him didn't show enough movement so that the players of like Jorginho and David Luiz could kind of get the ball to Hazard with one intermediate stop in between. But that all of that made it very difficult. But it wasn't a great performance. Like I said, there wasn't anyone that stood on was like, oh yeah, he was incredible. There wasn't anyone that, was horrible, except Marcos Alonso, as he usually is. There was this one moment late in the first half. We lost the ball. Pedro sprinted back to help out, basically defend the counter-attack. And then when we already won the ball back twice after losing it again in the meantime, then after, Pedro was already back for like a good 10 seconds. And then on TV, you just saw Marcos Alonso just jog into the picture, just finally getting back. What are you doing? I mean, that just says it all, really. Pedro sprinted back like a mad dog, and it wasn't him that lost the ball. He just sprinted back to help out. Well, Alonso basically just didn't give a shit. Like, it's really annoying. But, obviously, for the confidence in the team, it would be good to get a bigger win than obviously winning by 1 goal, which we haven't done, obviously, since beating Man City 2-0, at least in the league. And also the mood within the fan base, it would certainly, help if we got bigger wins. But, let's do that in the future. That would obviously be good. And now, I hope that we can make use of this first week without a midweek game in months. Like, if you ignore the international breaks, this is the first, week that we don't have a midweek game since September. And even international breaks, these players play twice a week usually. So, even then, basically, our players haven't had a week off, like a midweek off, since September. So that is quite ridiculous. So let's use it, rest up, regain some of their sharpness, regain some of that, mental ease, if you will, and also just work on things in training and prepare ourselves for Arsenal because, I really want to beat Arsenal, especially because I'm going to be there. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And also, maybe just make a few signings as well. Maybe a striker, maybe a midfield, obviously now that Fabregas is left. So, yeah. But to be honest, that's really it for me. Leave me all of your thoughts on the game down in the comment section below. Any thoughts you have, just let me know, basically. Like I said in the beginning, let's see whether we can hit 400 or more likes in this video. That would be massively appreciated. So please do be sure to smash the like button down below. Of course, don't forget to check out my social media, which is Luiz1507 on both Instagram and Twitter. As you can see over here, and also the links to both of them are down in the description below. And of course, this is YouTube, so if you haven't already, please do be sure to subscribe to 100% Chelsea if you haven't already. And also, don't forget to hit the notification bell button and choose to be notified about all uploads so you don't miss any of our future videos. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Up to Chelsea, and I'll see you next time.